1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm Joe Davis. This is of the Lean Service Design Trilogy. I have mixed in several videos to demonstrate the material and the thought process that makes up the trilogy. It is fundamentally lean thinking, but delivered in a manner that you may or may not be accustomed to. Enjoy the show. This design program is not about making you knowledgeable of all the tools in lean, service design, or design thinking. We will supply you links and resources to learn individual tools, but the program is more about putting these tools to use, enabling you first to standardize and deliver based on your internal and external expectations and perceptions, taking that knowledge as a baseline to improve the right things and to explore the unknown. It is foundationally lean through the processes of SDCA, PDCA, and EDCA. Ann Morris, co-author of Uncommon Sense, said to me, "We live in a world where lots of organizations want to deliver great service. We work with managers all the time who are committed to it. Customers, as we know, are hungry for it. And yet, our service experiences are still overwhelmingly negative." In pursuing this question, what became clear is that past excellence is not necessarily intuitive. It's not about trying harder, deciding the customer is always right. It's more about careful design choices and very deliberate trade-offs. I come from the process methodology world and manufacturing. We always thought better, faster, cheaper wins. It doesn't anymore. The gains are simply short-term and non-sustainable. The days of best in market is in the past. You just can't be good at everything. We must shift from goods-dominant thinking to service-dominant logic. But let's start with what is lean, and who best to describe it than one of the foremost authorities of lean, Dan Jones.
I'm surprised how many times top managers ask me, "So what is lean then?" This is depressing when they come from automotive or manufacturing firms whose operations folks have been struggling with lean for a decade or more without their help or understanding. On the other hand, it's encouraging when they come from healthcare or service organizations, hungry to make progress and ready to lead from the top. For me, lean is actually about a new business model that delivers far superior performance for customers, employees, shareholders, and society at large. Initially, this superior performance is delivering exactly what customers want without any problems, delays, hassles, errors, and firefighting. Very quickly, it's also freeing up the capacity to deliver a third or more value from existing resources without additional costs. But really, it's about learning how to reconfigure these assets and relationships with supply chain partners to make a step change in creating additional value for customers. Being able, for instance, to organize the diagnosis and treatment of a non-urgent medical condition in a matter of hours when everyone else takes several months. Or being able to compress the typical supply chain from raw materials to the end customer from 11 months to 30 days, while hitting every delivery on time and in full. Over the next decade, I have no doubt that this lean business model will replace the previous business model originally developed by Alfred Sloan at General Motors, analyzed and described in many books by Peter Drucker, and later refined by Jack Welch at GE. The power of lean is the growing recognition by leading organizations in all kinds of sectors that Toyota, the lean pioneer, is the reference model for our age. Quite rightly, their common aspiration is to become the Toyota of their industry. This is given added urgency as corporations well down their own path to lean demonstrate their ability to fundamentally redefine the nature of competition in their industry, as their competitors struggle to keep up. Just look at the big strategic rethink going on at Walmart as Tesco opens its first fresh and easy convenience stores in the United States, and the growing success of the acquisition and turnaround strategy of the early lean pioneer Danaher. The fundamental insight behind lean is seeing that customer value is created by the actions of lots of different people across many departments and many organizations. Linking these together into a seamless end-to-end process or value stream for each product family reveals literally hundreds of opportunities for streamlining the flow, for eliminating non-value creating steps, and aligning the rate of flow with customer demand. This is lean in operations that most people are familiar with. But it applies throughout the organization, not just on the shop floor. All the support activities in the office can be redesigned using the same principles and tools. Indeed, we need to learn to see our organizations as a collection of horizontal processes or value streams, as well as the more traditional vertical organization of function in departments. Vertical functions are the right way to organize knowledge, but value is actually created by horizontal value streams. This focus on processes also requires a very different form of lean management. Someone needs to turn these separately managed activities into an end-to-end value stream and to manage the process of improving them over time, maybe through several product generations. Instead of managing using the rear-view mirror of last month's results, lean managers frequently go and observe the current progress at every point in their value stream in order to help employees meet the current plan for the hour or the day and to plan further improvements. It's also their responsibility to liaise with the relevant functions for the resources to do so within a policy management process that aligns all these activities with the needs of the organization and its customers. The growing interdependence of each step in every value stream will reveal all the underlying problems and challenges from a changing marketplace. To solve the root causes of these problems means that problems must be visible and not hidden. The true power of a lean organization is when every employee can take the initiative to solve these problems and to improve their job in a way that provides value for the customers and prosperity for their organization. So, remember, lean is about correctly defining the purpose you're trying to achieve, from the perspective of your customers as well as from your business. And then it's about creating the processes that deliver this purpose by linking steps end to end to create flow through each value stream. And then it's about organizing your people to manage these processes that delivers this purpose and to keep on improving it.
For years, we have developed financing, engineering, support to sell products. All these intangibles have tremendous value in them, now more than the product. Customers buy the intangibles, more so than the best product. I'm a firm believer that our customer experience will mimic the employee experience. The new standards of service are very different. You can start tomorrow. The old game of putting a mirror on your desk, and yes, that is really what a customer sees. But let's with how Zappos thinks about service.
Zappos, the core values are the foundation of our culture.
Core values to me are something that I use in my daily life.
The Zappos core values are a list of ideas, suggestions, whatever you call it, on how we run our business and how we treat customers, how we treat reps, how we treat our employees.
I think to me the core values are what puts the Zap in Zappos. It's what makes this company special and unique and a place that you want to get up and come to every day. It really drives you to be not only a part of the company but part of the Zappos family.
What are the 10 core values? They are deliver wow through service,
Embrace and drive change,
Create fun and a little weirdness.
Be adventurous, creative, and open-minded.
Pursue growth and learning.
build open and honest relationships with communication,
Build positive team and family spirit.
Do more with less.
Be passionate and determined.
And our favorite core value, be humble. I like to first say that I am the humblest person at Zappos.
My favorite core value is be humble, because I think in modern society as it is right now, being humble is not the most popular thing, especially when it comes to big business like ours. Well, we were a humble small business, and now we're a big business that's still humble, and I'd like to, and it really starts with Tony, the way that he is.
I have a lot of favorite core values, but one of my favorites is be passionate and determined. And we're actually sitting here in the training room where we just had the world premiere of the Zappos Benefits music video. It was really great watching everyone come together, and everyone was really passionate and determined to really just create a fun video that not only was fun but also educational, and did a good job of explaining the benefits. It's just amazing to see, you know, what a bunch of determined people can do when they're really passionate about something.
My favorite core value would have to be create fun and a little weirdness. Our finance department does a weekly parade called Random Acts of Kindness. We select 3 people that work at Zappos just randomly, present them with a little gift, we put a hat on them and take a picture, and that, I think, knocks out so many core values all at one time. It's definitely fun and weird.
The majority of us are pretty fun and a little weird, I'd like to think. I mean, people walk in the creative services room and I just scream at them. Staff! We just like to make each other laugh, and it makes life and work a lot more fun when you can have a good giggle every now and again.
My favorite core value is core value number 5, pursue growth and learning. I would point to our library out front, which I think everyone knows. That started out with Tony actually recommending books, great books that he read. It evolved into a library, which is now open to everyone in the company and all of our visitors.
I think the core values they speak a lot about what type of company Zappos is, because they're not just a list of things that we have up on a wall that we look at and ignore. We really try to live and breathe them in every aspect of operations here. We recruit based on them, we hire based on them, we live them out. Every department has their own interpretation of them. It's just something that Zappos really believes in. It's what helps make us the company that we are.
What about design thinking? People have innovation envy, wanting to be the next Apple. But the tendency is to add more feature and benefits and call that design. And most of the time, it only complicates things. Let's listen to Tim Brown discuss design thinking.
We tend to assume very often that there's only one way of looking at something, and one of the ways that I, as a designer, often like to kind of come up with my new ideas is to try and look at the world in different ways. So we think about a book. When we first pick it up, we open the front cover and we might look at the contents page to see whether there's anything interesting there for us. And the contents page is one way of viewing the structure of a book. Now, what this is behind me is another way of viewing the structure actually of my book, and that actually is a mind map of all of the content of Change by Design. And every important piece, every chapter, every piece of content is drawn up there and linked together to show the structure. Doing that helped me think about how I wanted to tell the story. So it's an illustration of how, when we look at the world differently, we get to new ideas. It's easy when you hear the word design to think it's about what things look like, or how beautiful they are, or the latest style product in the Museum of Modern Art or something. But Really what design thinking is all about is the simple conversion of need into demand, need into solution. Any of us who went to business school, actually I don't include me, I went to art school, but those people who went to business school were taught very many effective techniques for what I would call convergent thinking, which is taking the set of available choices, analyzing those choices, and making the best one that then gets implemented. And now that's great for taking an existing world and optimizing it. If, on the other hand, you're trying to create new innovations, there's another piece that you need to put in front of that, and that is the creation of those choices themselves. Because if you're just looking at the same set of choices that everybody else is looking at, you're likely to get to the same innovations that they are. But if, however, you can create new choices, choices that nobody else is looking at, that nobody else has seen, there's a pretty strong chance you can get to an innovation that nobody else has gotten to. So successful companies innovate across a portfolio. They do short-term incremental innovation, they do medium-term innovation, and they do kind of long-term, more breakthrough innovation. And one of the tricks is applying your resources, the people, the money you have appropriately across that range.
I thought Tim did an excellent job of describing the pathway of SDCA, PDCA, and EDCA. It is how I base my thinking. That trilogy of lean, service, and design. They are self-supporting, but together they form a very cohesive structure for developing and improving services. Standard work in a lean culture. Much different than what you might expect.
The first thing we try to, okay, first we need to define what standardizing mean in lean as opposed to the common meaning of the word. Standardizing doesn't mean everybody the same, not at all. Standardizing first means an agreement, and means agreeing on the least wasteful way to do something. So it's a very weird, leanish way to look at it. This is not best practice that we impose on everybody. This is we get together, we understand not the benefits, but the drawbacks of the various muda, the various waste created by the way we work, and we agree together on the least wasteful way to do something. Which is why once we've established a standard, everybody has to keep to it, because we know it's just common sense. You know, if sometimes there are lots of reasons locally not to follow the standard, because say we might win a few euros. You know, typically in engineering, you'll look at this part and you say, well, we need it. If we take it off, we need a few euros. But experience tells us that if we do this, it might work in some cases, but in other cases, we have a chance that this will be disastrous. So this short, quick win could lead to huge wasteful solutions. So we keep to the standard because we know that this is, by and large, the least wasteful way to do it. And of course, as we progress, as we learn, we update these standards. You know the Jerry Mouse? Yes? Tom and Jerry? Jerry Mouse?
Yes.
And the guys explain how they drew Jerry Mouse. And they say, well, first we do a first circle for the head, and then we put in the nose and the 2 ears and then the body. And then we move in with certain features and so forth. So here you have a design standard. They don't draw Jerry Mouse starting by the tip of the nose and backwards. They draw Jerry Mouse in one way that they share, and they know how to draw the mouse. Sometimes design standards reflect functionality. For instance, I once have a great drawing master explain to me that plants grow seeking the sun. So to draw the structure of a plant, you need to draw the type of plant looking for the sun rays. So first you would look for the movement, and then you flesh out the plant. Well, again, this would be a design standard. You don't draw the tree starting from the top leaf and down. You draw the tree from drawing that movement towards the sun. So I think these are great examples of what a design standard is. It makes it very easy for people to understand what they're doing, because certain functionalities are drawn in a certain way. So there are many, and standards, you can have standards for everything, but essentially the idea is standards are checklists about how we do things. And I think the huge question we have here with standards is that these are not best practices you apply. There is no question of stifling creativity. This is what is very important, that these are agreements that at this stage, this is how we know to do the part with the least side effects. And it's an agreement. And it's certainly, it's not a rule. This is not imposed. This is preferred. We argue. If you don't keep the standard, you have to make a case. The one point I would really emphasize compared to our mental background, the standard is not a uniform. This is not the army. We're not turning everybody into automats. Standard is not, apply this and everybody the same. Standard is an agreement of the least wasteful way to do this and that.
This is quite a disconnect. This was a survey taken by Bain & Company. But the funny thing is I believe it. When I see customer service scores, I can't believe they are where they're at. It just always seems I'm in that percentile when things do not go well. How about you? Standards and PDCA form the structure of the little I of innovation. It is based on small incremental improvements. The big I of innovation seldom happens without this existing culture developed in the little I. We will continue with Dr.
I always think of PDCA as the culture of Lean or the culture of the TPS system. How do you look at PDCA? Is it more of a tool or is it a culture?
That's a very interesting question, and you're certainly not going to get a short answer on this one. Because as a sociologist, I'm of a belief that tools and culture are very linked. I think that ultimately we're all talking apes with a bias for tools, and much of our culture is made of our tools and how we use our tools. What makes a big difference is the fact that the same tools are used differently by different people. So in this sense, I would have to answer yes to both. I think that PDCA is essential to the lean culture, and it's also a tool. And as a culture is nothing else than a collection of individuals. I mean, we've never seen a culture walk the street or order a drink in a bar. It's a collection of individuals, and the question we have to ask ourselves is, what does PDCA mean at individual level? And here I think it's very interesting because we definitely are biased towards P&D. We've developed a culture of planning, which is very highly valued, and certainly of doing. So most people will think about planning the next move and then executing the next move. We're appalling at confirming, and we're terrible at drawing conclusions because it's all water under the bridge and it's all embarrassing and it's all big debate. So I think what is really interesting at PDCA is, how do you, as an individual, learn to pause and confirm your results? And then once these results are confirmed, to actually draw some conclusions in terms of either adopting or adjusting or the act part of the PDCA, and then starting again. Brings Lean so close to scientific thinking is that just because you like an idea doesn't make it true. Even though your chemistry tells you, I like this, this idea sounds good, it's intuitive, I have a gut feeling about it. It just means that you like the idea. It doesn't make it true. And so we teach people, and it's personally, so you have to learn, how do you confirm your ideas? What makes you think you're right? You feel right, but everybody feels right about everything. This is how we feel. If not, we would have a different idea. Rather than defending your own ideas because you like them, you go into a process with people you trust, fact-based, you're together at the Gemba, and you just try to confirm.
So you're saying that confirmation, but we still need data, don't we?
To have information, data needs context. So data plus context is information. Information plus understanding is knowledge. And knowledge plus compassion is wisdom. So you build it up. Because if you just have data, if it's out of context, it doesn't tell you as much as you think. So the thing about facts is that you're in the real place, you're at the Gemba, you're with the people, and you look at the data in the context that you understand where the data comes from. Then what you confirm is you confirm your understanding. Yeah, we understand the information, I understand what happened, but do we understand this? And we compare it. And it's this confirmation of this understanding that gives us the knowledge. And the bit about compassion is actually very important, because if you don't put the people, your customers first, your people second, in the equation, and to try to feel how they feel and look from their eyes and stand in their shoes, well, you probably will make some very unwise decisions.
Design thinking brings the big I of innovation to service. It humanizes services as we look at customer experiences, touch points, and we move design not to something we add to the product at the end, but at the beginning. The trailer of This is Service Design Thinking explains it very well.
There are many forms of design, but do you know what service design is? When you have two coffee shops right next to each other, and each sells the exact same coffee at the exact same price, service design is what makes you walk into one and not the other. Innovating services include various disciplines beside design. There's a common language to let these disciplines work together efficiently as a team. It's called Service Design Thinking and is based around 5 principles. First of all, service design should be user-centered, so services are experienced through the customer's eyes. It should also be co-creative to ensure that all stakeholders are included in the process.
Hello.
Sequencing visualizes services as interrelated actions, and evidencing makes them tangible. Finally, service design should be holistic, so the entire environment of a service is considered. Service designers use many tools, like stakeholder maps, personas, customer journey maps, cultural probes, storyboards, service prototypes, service blueprints, and many, many more. There's a new book about these tools and how they can help you design better services. This is Service Design Thinking.
Has the way we view services changed? SD Logic has been in academia for a while. Service design has brought it to the forefront. But the major concept is that value is always determined by the customer. Value is in the use of your product or service. Where was the iPod without iTunes, or the iPhone without the apps, or even the tablet without free Wi-Fi? Are you viewing your services this way?
A central concept in the new way of thinking about marketing, the SD logic, is that customers are always co-creators of value, and that they're always co-creating value. It's the way that the customer sees value, whether it's in the physical good or if it's in a service or a combination of both of those. And if they don't see value, if they don't see benefit to them, they're not going to engage with you. Customers will see relationships and benefit from relationships with a firm when they see that there's something in it for them. They not only will repeat purchase with you, and that's something that we would like to see, but they'll go out there and be an ambassador for you. We have to understand who our customers are, why they're buying, why they're not buying, and why they make decisions the way they do. So consumer decision making is critical in marketing, and there are a number of models which we look at in terms of decision making process, starting with problem recognition, search, going through alternative evaluations of various choices to final choice. And there are a number of factors which impact each one of those stages. So for example, individual differences, one's age, background, social status, their ethical considerations, their cultural background, and then looking at other aspects like situational analysis, how much money that they have or access to funds that they have. And all of these things are important in the decision process, and we need to undertake a full study of them, so therefore market research is critical at this point.
You must start looking at services in a different way. It is not enough to only look at design or just improving a process. It is a culture that must be developed and valued within your organization. Design and innovation takes place outside the four walls, and Lean is the methodology of choice. It drives both the little I and the big I. The first and foremost reason is that it allows for that first step of innovation. Lean is the primary driver for the little I DNA. As a result, it allows for that culture to spread and create the DNA for the big I. Without Lean in the little I, you may never start. How will you know? How can you measure success? Dr. Womack of the Lean Enterprise sums up what this may look like in his short video.
How do you measure the success of a lean transformation? How do you know if you're on the right track towards lean management or instilling lean leadership?
Well, look, lean is judged by what it does. So therefore, working backwards from your customers, are you doing a better job of solving their problems with less resources? That's always the question. Now, by the way, less resources, you heard headcount reduction. No, I heard growth. If I'm solving as an organization customer problems with less resource, that means I can solve more problems. So therefore, the only question is not an input, how many Kaizens have we done, how many 5S projects have we done, but an output, what's happened to our ability to solve customer problems cost effectively. Okay? That's the only measure of a lean program.
A popular misconception is that Lean is suited only for manufacturing. It's not true. Lean applies in every business and every process. It is not a tactic or cost reduction program, but a way of thinking and acting for an entire organization. The core idea is to maximize customer value while minimizing waste. Simply, Lean means creating more value for customers with fewer resources. A lean organization understands customer value and focuses its key processes to continuously increase it. The ultimate goal is to provide perfect value to the customer through a perfect value creation process that has zero waste. The Trilogy e-learning program will take 4 weeks. Time is spent on application and ways to apply lean tools in a new context. We will not be attempting to teach you individual tools, rather expose you to the use of tools through SDCA, PDCA, and EDCA, and give you the resources to dig deeper into it if needed. If you are not familiar with Lean as a discipline, I encourage membership in the Lean Marketing Lab to expose you to additional sources of information that you may need. Being part of this community will allow you to interact with like-minded individuals and organizations, purchase related tools, use some free ones, and receive feedback from your peers. The Marketing with Lean book series is included in that.